Welcome to Scaling with People, your weekly playbook for turning chaos into compounding growth. Each week, we go under the hood with battle-tested experts in all areas of business, from marketing to sales, operation, finance, and people, plus product and leadership, to unpack the plays, numbers, and systems that turn chaos into compounding growth. Learn straight from founders and experts who've done it and continue to do it successfully. There's zero fluff, just moves that you can steal immediately. This podcast is brought to you by Guide to HR, human expertise, AI-powered impact. Welcome, everyone, to today's Scaling with People podcast. I'm Guinevere Curry, your host and founder and CEO to Guide to HR. Okay, founders, listen up. If your thinking isn't liquid, your company won't be either. Today on Scaling with People, we're diving in with Todd Schuchart, a sharpshooting founder who doesn't believe in soft landings or squishy deals. That's so smart. From why consistency is king to why bootstrapping is the strategy, Todd's bringing the kind of truth bombs that'll make your investor deck sweat. Messaging, targets, mindset. This one's a masterclass in founder discipline. So join me today. I'm so excited. Todd, welcome, and tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Guinevere, thank you. I'm glad I'm here. Thanks for having me. About myself, boy, this is always the worst part. I was born at a very young age. We can start there. Um, Serial entrepreneur. I read my first sales book in the sixth grade. I've read it probably one every week since. I absolutely love the sales and marketing aspect of the world and how it all kind of glues together. Just founding my new startup, left an agency I was running for a handful of years, and we're off and running and ready to get rolling. And I'm super excited to talk to you today.
Awesome. So can I get a little bit vulnerable with you as a founder? I would love it. Would you mind sharing a lesson learned to the audience? I feel very compelled that we can learn from each other if we're open and share it with each other.
Yeah.
Put you on
Liquid.
the spot.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I think the thing that I learned, um, it's us. This is a very personal adventure.
That's
You know,
true.
it's I've created this thing in my head. I've sold myself and convinced myself that this is the way it's going to go. You build it, they will come, right? I'm going to build it,
Mhm.
I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to watch my bank account explode, and then all I hear are crickets. And it's hard, right? And there's so much noise out there, and there's so many things that we can test and try and do. What I have found over time, though, is the shinier the object, the worse the result.
Mhm.
This is really about putting out what you think is going to work, presenting it to the people who you feel it's appropriate for or serve, and then literally just shutting up and watching and listening to what their response and how they're interacting with what you're doing. One of the biggest things I think that I've learned about all of this process is that, and the internet taught us this, it's optimization, right? It's like, you hear it all the time about social media. Why are people so unhinged? Or why are people so this? Or why people, they're not. They've always been that. You just finally have a window into what everybody thinks about when, they're hiding behind the keyboard. So I think all that's incredibly valuable information for us as founders and entrepreneurs to look at and take in and understand and utilize and push moving forward and park our egos and our feelings about what we've built, because ultimately we did this because we want to be out on our own. We want to build something. We want to make an impact. So when you're looking at what you're rolling out and then you're listening, you have to find those optimization opportunities from people, right? We optimize everything. We optimize all of our stuff, the things you would think of digitally: ads, websites, messaging, emails, all of it, sales processes, the whole thing. But we also have to optimize what we're doing, right? If I want to sell purple yo-yos, but everybody's looking for green, I'm never going to sell a yo-yo, right? I'll be the
Yeah.
purple yo-yo guy in the corner going, while the yellow yo-yo guy is jumping around and flying by me in a Maybach. So it's what you want to do with the thing. And then I think the other thing is be prepared to never not be working.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So true. I mean, you are your own boss, right? Which everyone's like, oh, it's a dream to be my own boss. But if you want to be successful, you're probably the worst boss you ever worked for, too, right? Because you
Oh,
have to be demanding, you always have to be on. And there's never a moment where you are not stop thinking about what you need to do next, what you need to focus on, where you need to pivot, what you need to change.
yeah. It's exhausting just saying it, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, I'm ready for to go back to bed. Oh man. All right, well, let's flip this a little bit. So sales, I'm in HR. Sales is not my jam. Tell me a little bit about your strategy or what you bring to your customers, helping them be able to go from that, bootstrapping idea and be successful.
Sales. Boy, I'll tell you, it's
The
such a,
five-letter word that means so much.
it does to so many people. But here's the thing that I see it do the most that actually destroys most people, probably 99% of people. And I'm going to make this so simple that you're not going to believe me.
Okay,
And,
I'm
and
ready. I'm sitting down.
and the reality is that the simplicity is where you'll end up at some point if you can weather all of the complexity that you're going to try to make this thing be.
Mhm.
Because
Okay.
it's like the
Yeah.
buyer cycle. I want to buy a boat. Okay, cool. I want a 20-foot boat with a potty in it so we can just go out on the lake on the weekends. Oh, wait, we can sleep in it. Wait, I can get air conditioning. Wait, I can have it could be 400 feet long with 19 bedrooms. Wait, I can't afford any of this. And now I'm back down to where I was, right? We do this cycle with pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Sales is no different. So the first thing I think everybody needs to not do is don't sell. Stop trying to be sales. It's like I go to an art, my wife's an artist. I'll go to an art open with her, and there's always somebody there who's trying to be art. They're wearing Vans, a swimsuit bottom, and a tuxedo jacket and shirt. And you're like, and you look at their work and you're just going, yeah, okay. So really the art went into the outfit, not to the work
Oh
itself.
no.
Right. So sales is kind of the same idea. Stop trying to be in sales because we get there and everybody's like, what do I say? I don't know. What do you normally say when you talk to somebody and you're greeting them, right? It's like, what's the best pickup line in the world? Hi, I'm Todd. How are you? Like, it's the best way to open a sales call. And sales calls are won and lost at your open. If you think that closing happens at the end, you missed it. We got to open the call. We got to be different. We got 4 seconds to do that. We've got to build some rapport and do some small talk because we got to be known, liked, and trusted in order to do anything.
Yes.
Then we got to get their why. After you get those things, the only thing you're doing in those 3 segments is listening to understand. That's it. Not listening, waiting to talk. That's different. That's sales. I do conversational. Just like this. You're asking me a
Yeah.
question, I'm answering your question. If you have more questions for me because of something I just said, you're going to ask for clarification.
Hmm.
Everybody else says, well, that's an objection. Okay, cool. We can make sales phrases for that, but you don't have to. If you know your product and you know your offering, you should be able to answer any question about what that person is asking you.
Yeah.
Now, moving forward, the art of the conversation is an optimization opportunity. So I know, Guinevere, that if I said something just now and you came up with a thing about it, I'm like, okay, I confused her. And then that happens to me 3 more times. I'm confusing everybody. What do? I'm paying attention. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that in a different way that answers what everybody was asking me about before they ask. And when we do that, when we optimize our conversations, we get to a point where our conversations are doing the closing for us.
Hmm.
And you're a top performer and you never even realized you were selling anymore because
Yeah.
everybody can sell, because everybody can talk to another person and listen to what they're saying. It's
I
that
think,
simple.
yeah, that is such a key. Like flipping it to HR, it's the same thing in interviewing when you're recruiting. I mean, recruiting is a little bit of a sales artwork, right? It's you're selling
Yes.
the business, you're finding the right person, they're selling to you. But in an interview, I was trained and I always train my recruiters. If you're talking more than the interviewee, you're not doing your job.
100%. The
Yeah.
thing I hate to hear is people, one mouth and 2 ears, whatever. But the reality is that if you're going to ask a question, you have to be prepared to listen to understand the answer. Pardon me,
Yeah.
not staging in your mind what you're going to say next.
And that's a real skill. I mean, that is a habit. as human nature, we're sitting there, we're listening, but we're thinking about how are we going to respond? What do we want to say next? And so to actually like quiet that voice and really truly be in the moment, focus on what the person is saying and really dive into like, what does that mean? And like, how can I dive in deeper, especially when you're on a call and you're trying to solve someone's problem? Typically, I don't know about you, Todd, but in my experience, typically they're going to give me that, 40,000 level problem. But I need to know what's at that, flat zero level, right? Like I need to know what I'm really getting into to
Yeah.
help them and structure my approach that's actually going to be meaningful to them. So when they're talking at 40,000 feet, I need to like get them down. And in order to do that, I need to understand what they're saying to dive into it more and not be like, okay, what do I need to ask next?
100%. Because here's the thing, we call these dig-in statements. So when you're at that, when they're only giving you 40,000, your job, your mission is exactly what you said. You got to get granular because we got to know where we plug in to this overall issue. So how do we do that? When somebody says something and you're physically or figuratively scratching your head going, what? What does that mean? You ask, Guinevere, tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Like
I
that's it,
love
you guys.
that. Can you tell me more?
Yeah,
I,
tell me
I
more
need,
about that.
yeah, it's such an
Yeah,
easy question to have in your back pocket. I think I've actually
yeah.
said this on a previous podcast because at the end of the day, you don't have to think about it. It doesn't have to be customized. You're literally just asking them, tell me more. And I've done that when I had employees reporting directly to me, to my customers, to their employees. Like, it's a great way to just be like, I want to know more about your problem, your pain point, what you're experiencing, and it's just a quick, easy way to ask that. And people get so engaged. Oh, you want to know more? You want to hear
Oh
more
yeah.
from me? Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
And you know what you're not anymore? You're not the typical sales hack that, here's what we want to avoid. I answer my phone and you are just talking and you're
Oh.
talking and you're talking. I don't even know what you're doing yet. I'm still putting on my shoes because foolishly I answered my phone when I was trying to leave the house, right?
Yep.
And
Or
if
getting in the car.
yeah, and you got to disrupt. Like hey, Guinevere, how are you today? This is Todd. I'm fine. Are you doing good? Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Cool. I'm upbeat. I'm over the top with, I got to get a gauge on your tone, and then we're right into the conversation, right? But it's
Yeah.
it's you've got to ask permission to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, why am I going to give you the respect of talking to me if you're not going to give me the respect of even finding out if I'm in a position to talk?
Yeah,
Maybe I'm sitting
exactly.
at the doctor and I don't want to talk about my business right now, or Bobby fell out of the tree and broke his arm and I got to get to the hospital. Like you don't know what's happened. There's a
Mm-mm.
life associated. We look at these like, oh, it's a lead. Yeah, but that's a person.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
a lot going on. Think how dynamic, like you're very busy today. I already know how busy you're going to be, right? If I
Yep.
called you right now, you wouldn't, and you accidentally answered and you'd hang up on me. Where's my
Mm-hmm.
opportunity gone? It's gone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so easy to avoid.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so true. So, talking about leads, you got me thinking about some of my customers I've been working with, and I see some struggles that they have, which is they have a ton of leads. They have a database of leads, but executing on them and actually turning that into money in the bank account, revenue through the door to help them grow the business just seems to be they're stuck somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Could you share a little bit of insight into like if a founder is listening and that's like, oh my gosh, this is exactly where I'm at. What should I do? Like, what is one or two steps that they could take to start changing those leads into actual revenue through the door?
So the first thing is you've got to look at your sales team and their skill sets. You want to look at so one of the things I would do when I took over sales organizations. So that's a lot of what I did in my career was build or rebuild sales teams. Usually you didn't want me coming in. I wasn't the guy as a sales rep that you were excited to see, right?
Okay, I gotta just throw out that totally sounds like George Clooney in that movie Up. So if
I'm
you're
gonna
not
have to
seen that,
watch it
you're gonna
though.
have to watch it. Yes, I mean I've been George Clooney for a client of mine, unfortunately, but yes, it sounds like you were that as well in some capacity.
There are tens of thousands of dollars, if not millions or trillions, sitting in databases that are not being worked. So here's what happens. Rep comes in, they don't have their skill sets yet. They don't have the product knowledge yet. They aren't listening right. Whatever it is, your script is too much, too fast, whatever it might be. And they put no, right? No. Well, what does no even mean? It means
Hmm.
no, no, I'm not working this lead. I've literally gone in Guinevere and in the old days had I found four washer dryer boxes, the big, like as kids, we'd build like a house in those things. They were huge,
Not to
full of
age us or
lead.
anything, Todd.
No, not at all. Full of full of full of lead slips, like little 3x5 lead, thousands and thousands and thousands, just no written across the front of them. And I took them upstairs, reissued them, trained my team, reissued them, and we lived off of those for almost 2 years, setting.
Wow.
I went into a media company. They were using Salesforce. So the first thing I do whenever I work with anybody on their lead piece is we download your database into a CSV file. And then we sort it and then we dupe check it. And I've seen guys go from 20,000 leads to 10 because half of it was a sales rep trying to appease the reporting in the
Oh,
system.
yeah,
You
hitting
know,
their
when you've got
numbers.
yeah, when you've got 3,000 leads and their name is XYW, XYW, you're like, yeah, okay, cool. And then what we do is we strip all that out and we reissue those to the new team that we've trained. And again, we get a huge increase. So database reactivation is going to be your low-hanging fruit for everything. So I don't know how much of this I can get into with what we do, but that's
Go
that's
for
our
it.
lead in for folks with what we're
Yeah.
doing with Chowder is I'm going to find you money that you already are sitting on that you can't get your hands on. And we're going to automate that. So your sales team doesn't have to deal with it, right? And nor do you have to deal with a sales team or player that's not going to do that. They're going to say they will and they won't. And then what we do is we take that and we then can, after we find the money, we install a system in place that's going to handle your inbound leads for you, book appointments for your team, and everybody's going to be happy. So I think that there's a lot you can do. The first thing that I would do though, as any founder, is I would look at what my data looks like.
Yeah.
Do I have all those leads, or is a lot of this somebody trying to appease my dashboard in the CRM so they don't get micromanaged all day long, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then, the latter pieces are get a system in place that's going to shake that money out for you. Because I'm not kidding. We've done this with some people. We found, upwards of $500,000 in a matter of months.
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
you spent money on those leads.
Yeah.
And leads are getting, and I'm going to tell you, I left my leads agency a month ago, and what I'm going to tell, and this is July, just so everybody knows. And what I will say is, the amount of people that aren't working, or the cost per lead now is gaining, it's growing. The problem and the reason that your cost to acquire a customer is higher is because you're not getting the conversions on the front end that you need. People look at, you got me. People look at cost per lead as end all be all, and that's not the analytic anybody should be focusing on. So if you're in business for yourself and you're just getting started with leads, pipeline management for you is everything. What you actually need to know is what does it cost you to acquire a client, right? Once you understand what your costs are to acquire, is it a profitable venue for you? Or can we go in and can we apply some tools that will maximize more of those leads, driving up your conversions and bringing down your cost to acquire? So before you just spend at it, let's
hmm
get conversions in place. Let's get lead optimization and nurturing in place for you so that as those are coming in, you're not going to be the guy or gal that's coming back going, I got 10,000 leads from the last 3 years and I haven't, we could cut all that before you even get there.
Yeah.
So that's what we look at. So you might have a $50 lead and a $10 lead. You might only need three $50 leads to close a deal, meaning that your cost to acquire that customer is now $150.
Right.
That $10 lead, you might need 30 of them, which means your cost to acquire is now $300. What most people look at in the fatal mistake in this process, because getting to the cost to acquire takes a minute, and we do
Yeah.
have to burn some cash between 50 and 10, is they go, I just want the $10 leads because 50 is a lot. And you're right, it is, if you don't know your conversion numbers. But what happens 9 out of 10 times because you don't know, that $10 lead doubled your cost of acquire and you're burning cash and you don't even know it.
Wow. I mean, I've never heard it stated that way. That is awesome. I appreciate that. Okay. Can I ask a really kindergarten question here in case our listeners don't know? What is included in the calculation of cost per lead?
Yeah. So if you're just looking at leads, we look at how much do you spend, how many leads
On what?
on each lead. So let's say let's say you bought 10 leads this week and they were all $10 each.
Okay.
So your total investment that week is $100. We're not bringing anything else in yet because we're just looking at the cost to acquire. So commissions and all that, really that's going to come after you acquired your clients, right? So we
Yeah.
got to know what it costs to get them there. We can work on compensation later because if you don't know your cost to acquire and you're paying comp, it might take you 4 months to recoup.
Yeah.
Right? And if you
Yeah.
don't have a client retention rate that's going to carry you
Right.
substantially through that period, you're never going to hit profitability. You're going to be doing switch dollars.
Yeah.
So the first thing I look at is I go, okay, I got 10 leads. They were $10 each. I closed one deal. Now, that's a moving target because as I get better, as I dial my leads better, as I dial my messaging optimizing, as I optimize my messaging better, right? Because I just screwed this whole thing up because Guinevere, I lost her. I thought
Hmm.
I was crystal clear. I was not. I need to fix that. As those pieces start to get better, next time I buy 10 rounds, a round of 10 leads at $10 a pop, I close two.
Yeah.
Ooh, my cost to acquire now is $50. Look at that. I just cut it in half by just one more. I closed three. So you take how many you've closed off of that lead by, you divide it by your total cost. That's your cost to acquire. Now
Okay. Well,
later, now I can look at that and go, okay, my cost to acquire is $100. I make $300 for the month. What can I pay my sales guy and still make some money for the company? I could
yeah.
pay my sales guy 50 to $100. We want to pay him well because we want to keep him. The next month, it's all profit for me,
Hmm.
right? So you need to understand that in order to build the rest of your ecosystem out.
Yeah.
Or go
Yeah.
backwards and try and fit it into the conversion number that you need. But I think if you move forward, it's a little bit easier to get to.
Yeah, for sure. And that actually leads me to a question I have about, not having squishy deals, right? Like, don't do soft landings, don't do squishy deals. I think, when you talk about that, like, if I were to do, let's just use that example. If I were to do a squishy deal where maybe it's a 6 month contract, but it costs me it's 4 months of that 6 months is me recuperating my cost.
Mhm.
2 months is the energy, effort, and everything I do to get that customer and execute on that for 2 months of revenue. Is that really worth it?
No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I queued you up for that one, but like, so how can a founder really think through not allowing squishy deals to get through and be more harmful to them? They might feel like they're actually like moving the needle, but in reality, they're staying in put or maybe even taking a step or two backwards.
Oh, this is such a hard emotional one.
Yes.
You've got a family to feed, yourself at least, right? We got to close
Yeah.
feed ourselves, so we need money. And we see sometimes our investment dollars weren't as big as we thought or will last as long as we needed them to, and they're starting to get a little thin and we're starting
Hmm.
to get a little desperate and we make really bad decisions, and that's the spot
Yeah.
we don't want to get in. So the thing I always try and think about is, yes, this deal is exciting right now. How am I
Hmm.
going to feel about this when I'm working 80 hours a week, I'm cross-eyed and I'm tired, and I haven't made any money yet? Am I still going to like this deal then?
Hmm.
No, nobody is going to, right? So
Yeah.
let's not get there. So the first thing we do is we sit down with a P&L and we build out our pricing. And it's got to make economical sense to us. Hopefully, before we even got there, you've done some market research and you can see what's kind of out there and what you can do. And then, it comes down to is that's your line. That's your line in the sand. There's a really great Andy Griffith episode where his son, I was going to say Toby, but I can't remember his name now. Opie was going to get in a fight with a kid, and he draws a line in the dirt. He says, "You cross this line, and I'm going to poach you in the nose." And he crosses the line, and he didn't want to fight, so he steps back. He draws another line. It's this line now, and he keeps doing it. And the problem with that is when we're moving on, we don't even know where we're holding to, right?
Yeah.
What I have found is that fake it till you make it is a mindset you have to embrace. We have to feel like we're already successful in order to be there. And it's very
Hmm.
hard to do when things are getting tight. I promise you, it's easy to say, it's hard to live through. But
Yes.
if you focus and you understand the mission, when you're talking to somebody and they can't afford what you have and you've done all those other pieces, that's not your person.
Yeah.
Don't bend to it because it's not, you already know what your P&L says. That's not going to get you there. It's going to make you miserable and broker because now I can't talk to a client that is paying me, that can afford me.
Hmm. right.
So before I go there, I go, I've got the wrong, do I have the wrong person or did they just sneak through? And it happens.
Yeah.
Not every lead turns into business. Matter of fact, if you convert 12% of your leads, you're going to be mega profitable and you'll blow the doors off the thing. I'm talking 12% from raw lead, not
Hmm.
sales closing rates on the phone. Just 12% of your overall leads. You'll kill it. You'll absolutely kill it. So you've got to set a boundary and you have to manage to that boundary.
Yeah,
And that is
absolutely.
it.
And you got to learn from that. Like you said, maybe that person snuck in. Maybe this is your moment to readjust your
Yes.
ideal client profile because maybe you thought, I'll just use my example, right? I'm working with startups. So maybe I thought, a startup that is revenue of 5 million could be a good candidate for me, right? Well, maybe in reality, they're not because they need to bring someone on that is a third of my cost. So readjusting, maybe 10 million is the right. And if you don't know, be open, right? Be liquid in your thinking on
Mhm.
what you are really working towards. Who is your right ideal customer that's going to fit your needs for your profitability and adjust accordingly.
100%. Or you missed it and your offer sucks.
Okay, that
Right?
too.
Like
Yes.
nobody wants to admit they have an ugly baby, but just maybe you still love your baby. Maybe they're ugly. Maybe we need to do a little work to make, dial them up a little bit. I don't know, but it's all of that. Yes, it
Yeah.
could be you've missed your market. It could be you've missed your offer. But you know what? Here's the great news. You have direction now. You know what doesn't work anymore. So guess what we don't do? We don't go back to that hole in the ground and look for water. There isn't any
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Move on to the next one, right?
Yeah. Almost feels like battleship. Not to age myself
100%.
again, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep saying B12 if I already know you're not there.
Exactly. You're not
Yeah.
going to move to B12. You're not there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
100% right.
Yeah.
100%. And that's what we talk about, this whole optimization thing and everything is optimized. Everything is optimized, and especially your offering. We started at one point with something and then we saw a trend in the market. We switched, sales went through the roof. It was like I wasn't even selling. I was just taking orders at that point.
Wow. Yeah.
But those are things you don't learn until you've gotten kicked in the teeth a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes you
expect
need
that
those
to
life
come.
lessons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
And I also too think it's also like again, kind of going back to being liquid mindset, being agile and understanding your market. You think you started something because you thought that that would be the solution to solve the problem of the market. And as you're getting into it, then you're finding out more, you're learning more. Maybe something's coming to light in one of those sales calls where it's like, oh, if we just kind of flip over here, or we add this, or we make this more efficient or effective or easier, whatever it might be, that could be the key to the kingdoms. And like you just said, you guys did that, and then bam, it started kind of coming in.
Yeah. There's a really great book. It's called The Innovator's Dilemma,
Oh, love
written
that.
by some
Okay.
incredibly smart people. And it was what we used when I was on the HGTV Interactive team to start our digital business for the newspaper and broadcast divisions of Scripps. And it is core rules are better, faster, cheaper. Better,
Mm,
faster, cheaper. So when you're a new entrepreneur, when you have a new offering coming out, hopefully you found a gap in a market that you're filling, but you have the advantage to look at what everybody else is doing or aren't doing to make it better, to make it faster, and to make it cheaper. Now, cheaper doesn't mean that you starve to death, right? It could be that there's only an enterprise level solution. Like with Guinevere, there's a lot of enterprise level HR things out there that we can use. There are very few that serve mid to low market.
yeah.
And if you want to look at a business model to prove that this is actually a place where you can be more affordable and faster to market, look at a company called Paychex.
Oh yeah.
Paychex, a payroll provider.
Yep.
ADP was the king of payroll back in the day, and you had to have a certain amount of employees
Mm-hmm.
for them to even think to look at you. And it was more than a lot of all of us have.
Yeah.
So you were
Yeah.
stuck doing it yourself, or
Yeah.
like at my
On QuickBooks
grandfather's
or
business.
something, right?
Yeah, he had a bookkeeper and a payroll clerk, and that was payroll, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Tom Golisano, the founder of Paychex, came out and said, "There's a hole in the market here. I can do this better,
Mhm.
faster, cheaper," and disrupted the entire industry with
Yeah.
smaller shops and doing a service for them. So it's not always necessarily that you have to create something new. You could take something that's already existing at an enterprise level and scale it down so that people like us can take advantage of those services, making our life easier. Pain relief, nailed it.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, Todd, yeah, I feel like we could probably talk a lot here and learn more from you. But as we wrap up today, any last final thoughts or tips or tricks you'd like to give the audience?
Have fun with this,
I love it.
right?
We only are going around the world a couple times, so many times
Yeah.
in our life. So,
And
yeah.
the last thing I'll leave you with this is this. It's very hard sometimes to look at the money. We start getting desperate. We start grasping for straws, or we get the stress and the pressure of that can just
Hmm.
put you in the hospital, literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I did years ago in one of those exact situations, I was just drowning in it all. I said, you know what? I loved what I did. I need to again love what I do.
Mm.
So instead of looking at money, I looked at it as points because games are fun, right? Money is not. I don't even care if you have it. It's still not fun. I have it. Am I going to keep it? Right? It's like there's this
Right.
whole thing. And as soon as I went from dollars to points, my whole outlook on everything I did changed. I was no longer chasing dollars. I was chasing score.
Hmm.
And who doesn't
That's
like to
fun.
win in video games or right?
Yeah,
And as
right. I mean,
soon as I did that,
gamification is a big thing for sure.
yeah,
And I just had a podcast or two ago. We talked about joy and bringing joy back into your world and your life and your organization.
yeah.
So very much the same. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Todd, for your time. Appreciate it. And for the audience, I hope you got a couple great tips to help you grow your business. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you all.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Scaling with People. If you got value from this conversation, do me a favor, share it with someone building something big. And hey, I'd love to hear your take. Drop a comment, shoot me a message, or start a conversation. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the bold, unfiltered strategies we drop every week. I'm Guinevere Query, founder and CEO of Guide to HR, where we help high-growth companies scale smart with people-first strategies and AI-powered systems that don't just keep up, they lead. If you're building fast and want your HR to move faster, head to guidetohr.com and let's talk. And remember, scale isn't just about speed, it's about people. Until next time, have a great one.